Sorry about the late start, everybody. The time police must be on my tail again. They hit us with a power outage around here, but we're good to go. Right now, things are ready, up and running, and let's do the show.
Oh yeah, this is Sci-Fi Snob, and this is the Toplofty Lounge here for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby, in the 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby, yeah, here we go, in 11, 10, 9, oh yeah, baby, here we come, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Top Lofty Lounge, episode 77 Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow snobs. I am your host, Science Fiction Snob, sent from the future to save you from bad science fiction. This week on the show, it's part two of our last week's episode, where we had a contentious battle about the topic, and we weren't able to get through the topic. But there was some good conversation back and forth, and a lot of hemming and I don't know, and it's not hemming and hawing, but it was pretty contentious. I think everyone enjoyed it, so we're going to carry on where we left off and try to work on that. Try to get through the rest of my slides, but also, to talk about the topic in more depth, I think, or at least continue our conversation. But before we do, let me introduce my co-host. He is the blue and red to my yellow on the Venn diagram. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone. I am not a sci-fi snob.
Yes, welcome, everyone. Yes, good evening. Let's go. Who do we got in the chat? My little board here is saying we've got 7 people watching on YouTube. Let's see, let me just go through. We've got Death Angel Shadows here. Welcome, Death Angel Shadow. Welcome. Dave is in the chat. Welcome, Dave. To the uppity sci-fi fans. Yeah, that's all of them, isn't it? JT is here. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Yes, hello to you too. Umbraz is here. Welcome. Michael, good to see you in the chat. Yeah. Will we agree to a definition? Well, I mean, probably not. Neutron is here. Good to see you. And who's going to derail the show tonight if PB isn't here? Who gets the job for that? Yeah, I know. All right. Well, we're creeping up to 8. Good. I'm glad to see everybody in here. So, Cam, anything interesting happened to you this week in general?
Honestly, the week seems like a bit of a blur to me. It's Monday was craziness. And felt like Thursday, and Tuesday felt like Thursday, Wednesday felt like Thursday felt like Friday, and then Friday felt like Monday. So I don't know what the hell's going on, to be honest with you.
Well, to anyone just tuning in, if you're tuning in live, it's Sunday right now, Sunday night, just in case you're confused after all that. I was doing a little, here comes PB in the chat. Oh, there we go. Everyone watch out. I did a little bit of work around the dugout this today, cutting up some wood for the winter to keep us warm at night. It's a bit late in the season for me to be doing that, but when the wife keeps nagging you every time she nags you, you got to put it off by at least a couple of days. Otherwise, they start thinking that nagging works, and they'll do it even more. So you gotta. That's why I'm so late doing it. Speaking of that, hey, we should be putting up the birds, right? When we're talking, let's put up the birds while we're talking about this. There we go. All right. Anything else, Cam? What about how did you improve your science fiction snobbery?
I got nothing at all. I didn't even read like role playing books. Nothing. I'm totally sans sci-fi this week, except for reviewing some of our earlier shows in an effort to embarrass you.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that counts for something. I'm sure the chat will properly embarrass you and take you to task for that. I continued.
Sorry. One more thing. We did have an excellent episode of the Babylon 5 retrospective last Wednesday, which I encourage everyone to watch. It was the season finale of season 2. And I thought it was a really good discussion.
Yes, I agree. And we have and this week for the show, we might as well mention it since we're talking about these things. This week is the wrap up. We do a wrap up. We did one after season 1. We're going to do one after season 2. It's probably going to be a little bit longer show than normal, though our show's been longer lately for Babylon 5, running to the 3-hour mark. But I think it was 3 hours last time at the end of season 1, and it was a very popular. I think it was our best rated. Well, I shouldn't say rated. Most watched show. It had the most views, live and also afterwards. So yeah, that's a big. So hopefully it'll be the same, be just as good. We're going to follow the same format, so I think you should expect that. Yeah, Jeff says we did have a great episode. I agree. The last 2 episodes for our Babylon 5 have been quite good. I think we're starting to get, in the groove properly. It only took us, 40 something episodes to get. It only took 2 seasons, but I think we're starting to get into the groove a little bit. And it's starting to work out. So, yeah. Did you see the? I should put up the big board. We squeezed in another sub today, so we're at 646. We're creeping up. That must be why the government is coming after me. We're getting to be a little more noticed. So they're, EMP attacking my, trying to keep us off the air, but. We shall prevail. They shall not knock us off the air. Right, Cam?
Right. Should we? Do you want to discuss controversy?
Controversy. Well, I was going to say what I did this week, sci-fi related. But we can talk about
breaking news.
Talk about controversy first.
Sorry. Even more important, 646 subscribers. 600 subscribers. Sorry.
640 what?
46. It went up one.
Yeah. That's what I said. That's what I just said.
I'm sorry. I didn't listen.
Wasn't even paying attention. See what I have to work with, people? I mean, what do I have to work with?
My fault. Sorry, everybody. I'm actually just I'm 5 minutes behind. I'm trying to pull it off, but yeah, I'm actually 5 minutes in the past. So
all right. So did you have something? What did you have? Controversial?
Oh, about controversy? Well, we angered someone last week with our discussion.
Oh, on Babylon 5. Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, these things happen. All right, Neutron's in the chat. He's looking for fireworks. All right, well, I'm sure Cam will be sure to bring the fireworks. So this week, I carried on with my Marvel. My daughter and I carried on with our Marvel Fest, going through the movies. We saw, what did we see? she wanted to watch the Tobey Maguire, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So all this week when she was off school, we watched the 3 Spider-Man, the old Spider-Man movies. I gotta say, I mean, they still hold up. They're not bad. But I did especially enjoy the Spider-Man 3 dance sequence. that was fun to watch again. And also we carried on Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the next. We're watching them in order of release. So we've only got about my plan is to get to Infinity War and Endgame, and after that, whatever. But we only have, I think, 3 movies left: Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and is it Ant-Man 2 is in there? Something. I think there's something. I got to check the list again. But anyway, we're making our way there. We're almost there. Yeah. Oh, James says Cam is colluding with the time police to take me down. Cam, please, that's not true. Surely not. No?
I on the grounds I may incriminate myself, I refuse to answer.
All right. We're up to 10 live viewers now. That's good. Good. There's one thing before we get. Do you have anything else, Cam, before we get started here?
No.
No, there is something I wanted to share with everybody. And I just saw this. This has been up on the Discord. Here for the tool time and the sci-fi. No tool time today. Sorry, gentlemen. Sorry, but I'm sure Cam will be getting some more tools pretty soon. Christmas is coming, so I'm sure we'll be getting.
I did actually buy some tools this week, but it was nothing particularly interesting.
Haven't reviewed it yet. All right. Well, all right. We'll have to see then. Yeah. So everyone knows that now. I found this week. I put on the Discord. It's a bit of a video about our favorite fantasy author, Tolkien. I gave it to Cam, sent it to him saying, hey, you will love this. And he said, I saw this already. And I'm like, well, it's been out for a month. How come you didn't share it with me? Why am I just finding out about it now? Yeah. Let me just, are we going with... Into and Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, they've already seen those. My kids have already seen them. They love them, and they are pretty good. But that isn't officially part of the Marvel. I don't think, anyway. Part of the Marvel timeline. We're trying to go all the way up to Endgame through the movies, and then we might go beyond there. But it gets pretty good. Movies get pretty bare after Endgame. So we'll see what happens. But I at least like to get into there so they at least see end of phase 3. So I wasn't planning on it, but they have seen the first 2 of these, of the animated ones. They love them. They're like counting the days almost till the 3rd one, which is supposed to be out next year or something. I can't remember. Pretty soon, though. There was an announcement recently about it. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to show you this video. And you can also see it on the Discord. And those of you who are watching afterwards, I might have to cut this out because it's already on a YouTube and all that stuff. But I'll leave a link in the description, and you can enjoy it there. Yeah, they are great. I agree. Yeah. Okay. So this is a video about our favorite fantasy author, right? Cam. All right, let me. All right, let's do it. lots of walking. Yeah, we're gonna take a little quick pause, just so that we don't get snapped
Yeah, get
by the
dinged by
YouTube guys.
YouTube rules.
Yeah. So a lot of walking. Best parts coming up. What do any thoughts about this, Cam? Before we keep going on,
I think it's mildly amusing.
it's mildly amusing. I thought it was hilarious, but yeah, I mean, they're almost of a third away there, and we're almost halfway done. All right, well, let's see. They're going into the mountain. Let's see the rest. Let's go.
Run! A Balrog has come!
It's my book, motherfuckers. That's the greatest.
Fucking tell them to! Get that weak-ass bird shit out of here!
Get that weak ass bird shit out of here. Do. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed that. You shall not fuck with me.
Well, Dave, it's an informal rating system I have.
Yeah. A lot of walking. Yeah, a lot of walking. Cam, did you you're not insulted by that, right? Like, I mean,
I have a sense of humor.
Yeah,
Again, that's kind of like what a send up is, right? Is you choose something and you overemphasize it. I mean, no one seriously analyzing that is going to be like, oh, they didn't really just walk. Of course they didn't.
Well, there was a lot of walking.
Yes, that's how they traveled back then. Without you either had a horse or you walked, basically. So
yeah, and
they were called the 9 Walkers after all.
I think
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Ban James. Get him out of here. Unacceptable.
Don't say that to Cam. I think what I think would be great would be a shirt with somebody drew up a picture of Gandalf, and the shirt would say, "You shall not fuck with me," like that.
Yeah,
across the front. I think that would be quite hilarious.
I enjoy the absurdity of the excessive swearing and everything in there because, again, that would be very un-Tolkien like.
Yes.
So it was pretty funny.
Yes, I'm. That's been going around the whole. Not talking like. I've been talking about that someone's been talking about that a lot in Star Trek lately, and how they hate one of the big names, Nerdrotic, or one of these big guys, put out something, and they said, it's stupid the way that in Star Trek, it used to be in Star Trek, they talk like you don't know where they're from, right? Because they're not using colloquial expressions. So they're obviously not in our time, but they've gone away with that with the, with Strange New Worlds and some of the other stuff. So you're like, it's supposed to be timeless. It's not supposed to be our time. Same with Tolkien. I mean, if you had the hobbits going around and you go, yo, what up? And, fist bumping each other and stuff, you'd be like, come on, man, this is stupid.
Right.
Anyway.
It looks like Death Angel Shadow also is agreeing with James, it seems. So, Jeff, I want to congratulate you on your run on Babylon 5 show. We'll certainly miss you. That's right. I'm drawing a hard line.
Yeah, I mean, Tolkien does have I have to admit, like, I have not read the books. I started reading The Hobbit way back, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. It's a party. Can we get on with it? Jeez. I have seen the movies and stuff, but I do have to go back and read them. There's a little bit, I'm missing in my fantasy knowledge by not reading them. And the books are a bit different than the movies, right? Well, especially The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, they're both significantly different, but
yeah, especially The Hobbit. My understanding. There's a lot of stuff in the Hobbit movies that are not there. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, Cam, are we going to? Should we move on?
Yeah.
Move on. All right. Let's start with. Okay. So I told Cam that we would start with the Venn diagram, and I think we should each explain our ideas about the our thoughts about the Venn diagram. Now, remember the title of the show is this is for everyone, from myself. Is it really science fiction? All right. So I'm coming from that point of view. But anyway, we'll let Cam go first. Go ahead, Cam. Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, oh, sorry. Just real quick. Yeah. Okay. I misunderstood what Jeff was mentioning or intending to say. Okay. So I actually went back after our acrimonious discussion from last week, in which Snob went off on a wild tangent about what
crazy. It's crazy.
the red section means, contradicting everything that was ever said about it on any show in every way.
Which is not true. But anyway.
Okay, it's not totally true. But I did go back and review it. And I can say for my part that my interpretation or my presentation and belief about that has not changed. If anyone would like to go back and look, and I provided Snob with the link that he could bring this up, but
which I buried.
Okay, right. So he's burying evidence. Yes.
No, I didn't get a chance to review the link because I didn't find out about it until 5 seconds before the show, because of course, the government.
Okay.
But,
well, if anyone's
I'll
interested,
put it in. I'll put it in right now.
Okay.
Don't go and look at it.
Let me give them the references, and they can look at it at their leisure if they give a crap.
At their leisure, yes, at their leisure.
Okay, so
don't leave the show.
No, in episode 5, we had Jason on, where we were kind of developing this definition. And if you want to key in on 47 minutes in, I think that's where we kind of talk about it briefly. But then in episode 17, which was our Transformers episode on Is It Sci-Fi, I think was the first appearance.
Which is what the link refers to.
Right. I think that was the first appearance of the actual very professional diagram that we're showing on screen right now. And at that point, it was very early. I think quickly, I don't have the exact time, but it was at the beginning of the show, maybe 5 minutes in or something. I kind of reviewed, what these elements meant, from my perspective at least, and there was crickets from Snob. No objections to my position on these things. So what I can say is I don't believe that my understanding or view on this has really changed. That doesn't mean that anybody else has to agree with it, but I have remained consistent, I believe. You can check me on that.
Yeah. Do you know, have you ever heard this famous quote from Oscar Wilde? Have you heard this quote before? Consistency is the hallmark of the unimaginative. Yeah. Anyway,
well, my job is not to exercise my imagination here. My job is to analyze the imaginations of others.
So do you want to go over this in more detail about the aspects of the diagram, or are you're good?
The controversial aspect. Okay, well, first of all, the point of a diagram and a criteria such as this is that they do interlink. That's the whole point. So if you break the link, and those pieces don't fit together, then it kind of no longer works. So the thing that we were debating about last week was this red portion, which is the futuristic element relative to humanity. And it's the example is that if you had something that was completely alien and not related to humanity or Earth, can it really be this definition of classic sci-fi, golden age sci-fi? And bearing in mind, this is a specific type of sci-fi that we're referring to here, not the broadest definition of sci-fi. So my argument has been and remains that if you break that chain, that it's linked to humanity or actual Earth humanity, even in the far future or any, even in the past, depending on, the setting, um, it doesn't fit this definition. And now the counter argument to that was that, well, okay, but you could still be making a commentary of some sort, using things not directly related to humanity. So this is where it ties into the yellow portion here. It could still be speculative about humanity, even though the story literally has nothing to do with humanity. And my contention is, well, that becomes a representative thing or an allegory or something of that nature. It's you can draw those conclusions, but you have to take that extra step. So that's my position.
So that just let me comment on that, the red portion there. I mean, I was kind of surprised that we discussed that so much last time, because I didn't think that was very, futuristic element relative to humanity. That doesn't mean that, to me, that doesn't mean that, hey, we're in the same universe and there was humans, and then at some point we've gone to the future and maybe they're there, maybe they aren't, whatever. I didn't think that mattered at all. I just, we are a very narcissistic species in a sense. And of course, we're going to relate everything to us. So the futuristic element means that there's some form of science that is beyond what we have now, or beyond whatever it is that you've sort of set your story in. So, for example, the movie Wild Wild West is something that came up last week. So if you have that and it's set in the 1880s and you've got some, steampunk in there that's not of the 1880s, then that's still a futuristic element relative to the humanity that you're looking at. But it doesn't have to, I doesn't have to be in there. It doesn't have to be, hey, we have these humans and now we have, you could write a story all about aliens and there'd be no humans in it. But if they had some sort of science that was futuristic to us, even if it was, all biology based or anything, they could be, you could write in a story about aliens that are all biology based, but their let's say electronic technology is nowhere near close to ours. And you didn't have humans in that story. Perhaps they fought some other alien species or they had conflict with them. That would still be a futuristic element relative to humanity. And we could, potentially the author could put something in there to, that would make us think about our own situation and what we're doing. But I always thought that was very minor. I didn't even consider that to be important.
Maybe I'm not describing it. It's not inherently more attached to the red than it is to the yellow portion, because it's about the connection to humanity. And when you completely disconnect, I'm saying that it's no longer about humanity. So you can get back to it and you can draw something from a foreign story, that's literally not connected to humanity, but you have to be making this, you have to understand that it's a parallel. It's not, it is literally not connected. So it's not connected. I mean, that's not a controversial claim. It's not connected. So you have to somehow relate it otherwise, because.
Yeah. And I don't say it has to be, I don't say that it has to be connected, like we're saying that, oh, this is in the same, because a lot of authors won't even say so, and we don't know.
Okay, well, will you agree?
I could write an alien story, and this happens a million years, and humans are extinct.
Will you agree with
about aliens? But no one would know. Oh, but
will you agree with the premise that when you have something where there is no connection to humanity, that you might be able to say, oh yeah, this is about some kind of universal concept, but that you have to kind of build your own connection at that point, because the story literally doesn't include it.
No.
Okay.
I will not agree that just because, okay. I mean, the vast majority of science fiction stories are, they relate to us. There's going to be some human elements in there. But to me, the futuristic element relative to humanity means that there's some sort of level of technology that is above what we have in some way, maybe not always, some ways, but there doesn't have to be a direct line drawn and say that we had humans here and now maybe they're all whatever, maybe they're all dead, maybe they're in a different, but now we have an alien species or a human species has got these elements of it. It doesn't have to have a direct line, as long as there's some sort of futuristic element. relative to how we are now or at the point the story was written. And that would be fitting the red box of science fiction.
Okay, well let me challenge you. If you go back to classic sci-fi kinds of things, aren't many stories about, okay, there's this technological impact on story, the blue, and it's futuristic and relative to humanity, and then how that impacts humanity. So, but even though it's futuristic to us, so let's say that the development of some sort of AI, well, I don't want to use that as some sort of cybernetics, let's say,
Sure.
and how that impacts humanity, from where we are, from the perspective of the reader to the perspective of the story. It's inventing this development that happens and discussing it and presenting it, and then from that we say, oh, that's some path that humanity can take, and that's where the speculation about humanity comes in. Now, if that same cybernetic stuff, which remains futuristic relative to us, but within their story, this alien story, not connected to humanity, it's not futuristic to them at all. It's been around for 1,000 years, let's say, and it's fully integrated, and it really doesn't have any commentary on them whatsoever.
It's still futuristic to us.
So what?
Well,
within that story, if it doesn't contain the elements of that change, that speculative jump, then that element doesn't exist in that story.
Okay, I know we might have a different idea about speculative nature about humanity, what that means. Like I said, we're humans are narcissistic, and anything that's different than us, we're going to look at it and compare it to us. So if there's some sort of, alien race and they have a technology that maybe they've had for 1,000 years, let's say, in the story, if it's still a futuristic element to us, if it's still, science that we haven't come across or haven't invented ourselves, then there still is going to be some, the way that they use that technology can still reflect on us. Oh, here is a made up society of, whatever species, doesn't matter. And they have this technology, and this is how it affects them. We can take that upon ourselves as well and go, I wonder, is the author trying to say something about how that technology would affect humans? Maybe, maybe not. We can think about those sort of things. I would say that I want to get into the yellow. That's where I want to be focused on, but myself. But I would say that there's a number of writers that deal with aliens a fair amount. Larry Niven, I've mentioned him last time. A lot of his stories in his Tales of Known Space, he does a lot of development on aliens and how they operate. Are
they interacting with humans?
They are.
Okay.
Because humans are a big factor in known space, but
the human element is in that story.
Yes, of course. But there's a lot of aspects. Yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit my. My point is that it's not necessary. I mean, it's in there, so you would agree that it's science fiction. But I don't believe it has to be in there. But he develops the aliens quite. He looks at their physical characteristics. He does he spends a lot of time describing how he thinks their society might work based on. I'll give you an example. He's got these.
So that's called anthropology, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but xenobiology, whatever. He spends a lot of time looking into that, or working that out and making it plausible for the reader. I'll give you an example. He's got a set of these 8-limbed aliens, which are kind of like starfish. They look like starfish. They're really small, like 2 feet high or something. And they live on a moon. They're discovered, and they live on a moon. They live in the in the frozen water underneath the moon that's not frozen but cold. And they become more intelligent by they link themselves together, and they therefore think that way. Now, the whole part of the storyline is about this other alien species, which is fairly xenophobic, and very concerned about anything that's a threat. And they basically, they go around, who's Larry Niven? Come on. This other alien species go around, and they basically they're a herd animal, and they're so paranoid they'll wipe out anything that's a threat to them. And so the problem is that they are leaving the galaxy because the galaxy is going to blow up in like 100 million years. So that's not very much time. We got to get out of here. So they're taking their main planet with a couple of other planets around it, and they are accelerating at lower than that's at sublight speed to escape the galaxy because they're worried about it's going to blow up. So so anyway, so this alien species is in their way, and they've the alien species figures out that they're interacting with humans as well, and they're kind of like, hey, they get smart enough to realize that hey, these guys are coming, we better move somehow. There's a whole conspiracy about it and everything, because these guys will wipe you out, and they'll be able to wipe you out. Now, the whole fact that these alien starfish guys, they're able to, you shouldn't be able to have an intelligent species, at least one that becomes spacefaring, that lives underwater, because how do you get fire? And if you can't have fire, how do you get metal in order to, build things to escape your planet, like a spaceship? So, they're actually able to. These things are probably the most intelligent creatures in Niven's known space, because they're able to figure out that that they need to leave their underwater area in order to discover things about the physical universe. So they break through the ice and go outside in the snow and actually develop fire and everything like that. And their level of technological advancement is astronomical, compared to others. Within a small amount of time, they've become they at least know about spacefaring and that kind of thing. So I mean, there's that can that reflect on us somehow? I mean,
well, okay. Briefly, how does that reflect on us?
Well, I'm saying that Niven is using it doesn't necessarily reflect on us. You could look at different aspects of the story. There's a lot of background in Niven's going on with humans have had many interactions with these this herd aliens, which they call puppeteers, because they like to manipulate people, and they've manipulated Earth many times in the past. It's kind of a lot there. Don't forget, Niven's humans are merely mutated pack, would be killed if found of the original unmutated brethren. Yeah, that's a good point. So there's a lot going on that's hard to explain in just this one this show. But my point being is that
great example.
You can have this. You don't necessarily need to be a line of humans in there in order to, you can look at how the Pearson puppeteers operate, how these creatures operate, all the stuff, and you can, that can reflect on us without us being there. But we are in there. I guess it's not a good example in that case. Can't comment on the Ringworld. You got to read it. Yeah, you got to read it. It's good. The thing is you're right. I'm having trouble figuring out finding a science fiction author who's written something which humans are not involved in some way. That's very seldom. But there's, it could be done in my view. Did Niven write anything else? Yes, he wrote a bunch of stuff. I got a couple things on my channel. The Mote in God's Eye is another different one. Most of his stuff happens in in a universe he calls Tales of Known Space, but there's so many in there, and Ringworld takes place in there as well as various other things.
I might
the integral trees and the smoke ring are also ones I've mentioned about Niven that he's done. But anyway,
from what you described, now again, you said the humans are involved. I didn't hear any particular interaction with humans, but I'll assume that it's in there. What you described, I could, if I had to put a description to it, I'd say that sounds like a futuristic setting. Political, explore or some kind of societal exploration. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, well, why don't we stop wasting time on what we're not going to resolve and go ahead with your
Let
list.
me go on to my part. Yeah. Lucifer's Hammer and Footfall both take place in different universes, I think. They're not related. Lucifer's Hammer is about a asteroid that hits the Earth in the 70s. And Footfall is about an alien.
It was a comet, wasn't it? Wasn't it a comet?
Comet, asteroid, yes, maybe it was comet. Asteroid, I don't. Yeah. And Footfall was about an alien species which are somewhat similar to elephants that attack and invade Earth. Primarily starting it by blasting, asteroids, rocks, various from space on various things that we've built and completely destroying our society. The Mote in God's Eye is really good because they are a very different alien species than us, and it's a great way of Niven shows how how much thought he puts into this, and thinking about how these aliens who are, I think I mentioned in the last show, they've got 5 fingers on one hand and 6 on the other. They breed very, very quickly, but life is cheap. They don't live very long, and they die. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
quick question for you.
Michael's Mankinson series. There's a whole Mankin Wars. We fight these giant cats. That's a big one. I was never a big fan of that stuff, but the other stuff is, yeah.
Quick question for you. So what's the golden age of sci-fi? What's the era? The time?
Okay. So, as we spoke about a couple episodes ago, the golden age is generally from the, you can, like you said, we can push it back to as early as 1926, but probably better would be with Amazing Stories and the start of the late 30s, 38, around there, and people like Asimov, where the science fiction stories. So the big difference between the Golden Age and what Campbell tried to do with his the stories that he put in his magazine was that he wanted what I would call a more mature science fiction. So instead of the Buck Rogers and the Flash Gordon running around, which to me are really just they're more primarily Westerns with science in them, generally speaking. I mean, it's not 100% true, but he came out with much more serious science fiction. And Asimov, the Foundation series was probably a great example of that. You've got a galactic empire is basically a characteristic in the story, this giant empire which is falling apart, and you've got a character, Harry Seldon, is going to is looking to stall or prevent that, but he can't, and it's a big fight against these entrenched powers, where he's trying to basically change society. Sorry,
that's fine. The simple question I was trying to is the golden age sci-fi, which is what this is really focused on, is like you say, from the a fairly expansive number would be late 30s to 1960, maybe.
Yeah, 50s.
Okay, so
mid 50s, but I mean, but it's a type of. Let me go into it a little more, because this is the gist of the problem between Cam and myself, is that I believe you need all of these 3 aspects: technology, impact on the story, futuristic elements relative to humanity, though I don't think you need a direct line for that one. But to me, real science fiction is speculation about the nature of humanity, right? So if I write a science fiction book and it takes some sort of, like, I take, cloning, and I take it to some level. I take artificial intelligence to some level, and then I write about a civilization and show how, this type of cloning, this type of AI, this type of this whatever, how did it affect society in general? And that comes back to us when we read the story. We look back and go, oh, I see, there's some dangers to AI. There's some, we would have to avoid this if we were, to do cloning. What would happen? Or how would our society look like? Are we going towards what this author warned about if we go down this level of, cloning, AI, whatever it is? So yeah, so that's the area. And to me, you don't have to have, let me just finish off real quick. Like, to me, that is the most important and the most interesting aspect of science fiction, to me personally, the yellow. Now, any science fiction story, you're going to have these, the way I see it, we've drawn these Venn diagrams the same size, but depending on the story, there might be, the yellow circle might be very small and the other ones might be very big. And I'll give it a quick example. So in this aspect, you want to classify your Buck Rogers and your Buck Rogers and your Flash Gordon. They would be the Venn diagram about the speculative nature of humanity would be very small because there's not much on that. But technological impact on the story would be quite big because that's what there are. And then maybe you'd have some futuristic elements relative to humanity that would be bigger as well. But yeah, so, these things can change in size.
Okay. So, I was trying to, the first question I was trying to get, kind of when the core, the center of the golden age of sci-fi was. And that's
when Death and Shut. No, I'd say that's not true. Sci-fi is still all three, but there'll be different sizes. But to me, the yellow portion, that circle, is most important for me.
We really need to color those in with orange and green and purple. But
cool.
But so the point was that, and I think you were going to make the counterpoint that, well, you could still be classic sci-fi. You could make a classic sci-fi story written today, right? That had all these elements very firmly.
Which one? Like Buck Rogers style, or
no? I'm just saying today, if you made a brand new story, you could meet all these criteria theoretically, right?
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be tied to a time, but it's generally, these things are kind of rooted to a time. They have their basis in this particular time when they, developed and became, big. And so, you were giving examples of Larry Niven, which is kind of outside of this zone.
No.
And
outside of he was writing.
He's certainly outside of the time of the classic golden age sci-fi, and his writing style isn't necessarily of that variation either. So
I'll disagree, because I think the majority of science fiction written, even if it's not, takes the majority of it takes its lead from the golden age. Even though we're not in the golden age anymore, most of them have these three aspects of it, which what I consider the golden age and part of the beginning of real, hence the title, real science fiction. I think if you look at most science fiction written, even like Niven's science fiction or anybody written since then, they'll generally have these three aspects of it, unless you sit back and write, I'm going to write a pure
that's why
Gordon story. I don't give a crap about commenting on human nature.
That's why we use this diagram, because it is kind of the center of gravity where the other things kind of stretch out from it.
And even in the even the cyberpunk era, even in the the new wave era, these elements are all in here. If you look at any of William Gibson's stuff, he basically started cyberpunk. Read any of his stuff. It's not pushed, but the speculative nature of humanity, that's in there, right? Because his stuff is usually more grounded, but something will happen and it'll affect society, and it'll be us thinking, oh, we've put all this technology in us, how is that going to affect us? How do people feel? How does et cetera, et cetera.
Let me address PB's comment. I'm rigidly adhering to the diagram. Well, I'm discussing the diagram because that's the basis we've chosen for these things. Certainly, it is a It is not the expansive definition of sci-fi, which, if you use that, you could make arguments that many things fall within there, and that's fine. But we chose this for a particular reason, and Snob wants to deviate from it for his own purposes, and I don't.
Well, the thing is that I don't remember ever agreeing that, for example, in the futuristic elements relative to humanity, that there has to be some sort of direct line drawn from, us humans. Us humans have to be part of the story or referred to it in.
I think we discussed exactly that at one point or another,
well,
and there was no controversy
did,
about it at the time.
If I did, I didn't understand, or I've changed my mind. Whichever,
Okay.
whichever one you want.
Just like a woman, you're entitled to change your mind.
I don't think that's important. You don't have to draw a straight line. We don't need to be that rigid.
Fine.
It can be, if it's going to comment on, how we are, and it doesn't. I mean, I'm hard pressed to think of of a science fiction story that doesn't have that isn't humans aren't involved somehow because
Sure.
Like I said, we're very narcissistic.
Let's
if
address
someone were to write it, I wouldn't say it's not science fiction simply because humans aren't in the story.
Okay. The question isn't whether it's science fiction; it's whether it is classic science fiction, golden age science fiction, which is what the diagram is about. Michael,
I don't think that this diagram is about golden age science fiction. It's about science fiction in general. Now, I will say that
you keep changing, you keep expanding your.
This diagram is about science fiction in general, and for me, though, the real science fiction, and it's real science fiction because it's got these three elements, or there are more likely to be in it. People start bringing in the speculative nature about humanity in. That's more focused on in the golden age. I'm sure you can find examples outside of it, but that's when they start. And most science fiction stories after that, even in other ages, have these three aspects in it.
See, I would say I wouldn't say something that doesn't fall in the middle triangle here. I wouldn't say that it's not real science fiction. It's just not this type of science fiction. When it falls outside of there, then it's something else. What Michael was asking about solid definitions, and we did back in the past, we did talk about that. For example, we said the intersection of what would be the orange was dystopian, for example. I think was one example of that, because the technology isn't necessarily the thing that drives that. And then we did look at what could fall in those crossovers. I don't remember what they all are off the top of my head, but we can revisit that in another point maybe.
I mean, you're right. And there's okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So dystopian science fiction. Let's take, I don't know, On the Beach by Neville. I forget his name. I have his book too. But anyway, those are some of those stories. They're dystopian. Are they science fiction? Well, a nuclear war happens, but the book is written exactly at the time. It's set at the time of writing. When he's writing the book, there's no real, unless you assume that the futuristic element is that, hey, we've had a nuclear war. There's nothing in there. There's no technology in it that that is different than our own. So you could make an argument and based on this and say, hey, this is not science fiction. It's a dystopian, and it. But you could also say, hey, it takes place in a future where we have a nuclear war. Now, the story of he wrote On the Beach was written in 83 or 82, I think, but he didn't said it in the future. He said, hey, it's now and this happens. But anyway.
Just another quick note there. So for example, at the purple, the intersection at the top there, which would be the purple, we said that might be futuristic adventure fiction, not because again it lacks the speculative nature, for example, so it would kind of kick it out of that classic thing.
And I make that point too. I to me, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, it's very tenuous, right? It's got those two top aspects, but usually it doesn't speculate about the nature of humanity. Oh, what if we do go and blow up the bad guy and, we defeat Emperor Ming. No, there's no discussion of, oh, hey, how will that change us as humans? No, we get, hey, this guy's trying to kick our ass. We got to kick his ass.
Yeah.
But I think generally people would say that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon are science fiction, though. But
right.
to me,
a
they
broader
are,
sense, though, and
they are adventure fiction set in a future more like that, as a
right. But
because they miss the element that I think is the most important. But
right, and so you're agreeing it would be in that purple zone, right?
primarily, I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen every Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. There might be some that speculate about the nature of humanity. Hey, Madman, good to see you. There may, I could be wrong. There could be, someone could come and say, I'm a Buck Rogers expert. Look, there's in this episode, they talk about this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, right. And Star Trek, we hate to talk about Star Trek, but Star Trek is a perfect example, right? Star Trek was originally called what? Wagon Train to the Stars. It was basically a Western in space. But if you notice, they go to these planets and it's kind of like a Western in that it's every episode is a new town we go to, but it's a planet. But when they go to those planets, they have to fight Nazis, or they have an AI that is controlled humanity and Kirk has to stop it.
Sure.
Or there's this group that are being Greek gods and they're running roughshod over all these other people, and that shows us a little bit about elites versus the peasants and how we operate like that. Like these are all looking at humanity and how we conduct ourselves, right?
Okay, so yes, let me go back to PB's comment. It says, is the diagram too narrow? And by being too narrow, doesn't necessarily lack scope to recognize what stories are sci-fi. Once again, we should be very clear. This is not a diagram of a broad definition of sci-fi. This is a diagram of primarily golden age sci-fi, or as I think Snob would probably put it, kind of the core, the center of sci-fi. And it is
real science fiction.
Well, yeah, and it is fairly strict. And for those that don't know, the original focus of his channel is that sort of real sci-fi, that core kind of sci-fi, which I believe is your favorite, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where everything grows from, though. The basis of the channel shaped some of these things that we're doing. And then Death Angel Shadow says something similar. It's like, sorry, not going to buy that Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon is sci-fi. We're not saying it isn't any kind of sci-fi. We're saying that it's not necessarily falling into this definition of sci-fi, which we have said many times is a subset of the entirety of sci-fi.
Well, I don't know that I said that. To me,
so is this everything then? Is anything?
This diagram is what?
Okay, can we just get rid of it then, because it has no purpose at this point?
No, it doesn't. This diagram, it has purpose. This diagram is what I consider to be real science fiction. Real science fiction has some sort of speculative comment about humanity.
Okay, Death Angel Shadow. Then your answer from Snob is that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon are sci-fi, just not real sci-fi. Then
exactly.
Okay,
because they don't really. They generally
don't give me crap about it. If you're the one making these determinations, I just created this in order to fit the definition that we talked about.
Yeah. And this is the real definition.
Okay, so
and Death Angel Shadow is wrong. I mean, I'm being nice. I'm not gonna go and say that. I mean, generally speaking, Buck Rogers and I'm not gonna fight anybody if they say Buck Rogers is science fiction. But I would look down on my nose at it because it's not real.
Well, because you're a snob. Whereas I am
exactly.
not. I
think not a snob.
I like those kinds of sci-fi.
He's a wishy-washy. He'll go along with anybody to get along.
No,
do what they tell him.
But I will
on nothing.
Right. I am. Exactly. I'll just go along to get along. That's my way. But clearly,
even King,
you were the one that actually has these hard definitions.
Of course, we've got to keep out the posers and the pretenders out of our. We can't let these people in here, right? We can't let these weirdos coming in with their Buck Rogers saying it's science fiction when it's not. Come on, Get rid of these guys.
Well,
right?
once again, I am comfortable with saying that it is science fiction, but it's not this. It doesn't fit this definition of science fiction. That's why we have this definition of science fiction, is to determine what falls in and how far out or how deep in.
And I'm not willing to say that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon are not science fiction definitively, because, like I said, there could be stories that have the speculative nature about humanity. I haven't seen every single one of them, and but definitely to me, having these three elements in some sort of in some sort of minimal amount, right? Like if I've got a whole ton of this and a whole ton of that, and then only like less than 1% about in this certain aspect, that could maybe affect things. But again, then you have things like, generally speaking, I would say that most dystopian science stories are science fiction. But like I said, you can find examples, like I mentioned, On the Beach, which is that does technology impact the story? Yeah, I guess nuclear weapons blowing up impact. Well, but are there any future elements to it? Well,
yeah, right.
Not really.
See, that's where
because they're using present day nuclear weapons and stuff. Is it speculative about nature, about humanity? Sure. What do we do if our world is destroyed, and that aspect is there? So yeah, you're right. Like there could you can go in and find and say, well, is this does it fit? Generally speaking, science fiction is a very broad category, and most people will just be like, yeah, it's dystopian, throw it in there, whatever, what the heck. So yeah, we are trying to be a little, I am anyway, with this diagram, trying to be a little more specific and push out all the pretenders, so to speak.
Yeah, let me answer PB. We're having a side conversation there.
Sorry, let me go over here. Madman, I haven't read it. I'm not a big horror guy. An alien, specifically ancient interdimensional being from a void known as the macroverse, not from Earth. I would probably, anything by Stephen King would generally be horror, but space fantasy is still sci-fi. Maybe not. Star Wars. What did we say about Star Wars?
So once again, if as our audience seems to be demanding, we expand it to this point, then there is no point to having such a definition. We just say anything that's remotely futuristic or remotely not mundane is then sci-fi.
That's not.
And to address PB, no, I'm saying if we use these definitions, and PB is challenging me here, saying if it's set on another planet, how is that not sci-fi? Well, why is a different setting necessarily sci-fi? What if it's a different planet that is medieval, that doesn't, have futuristic elements relative to humanity, for example? Does that make it sci-fi just because it's a foreign setting to humanity? I don't think it does. So, well, PB, I don't think that you're just not willing to accept what this diagram is talking about. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But within its, our definition of it, it is coherent. But it is not expansive. So you seem to be very married to an expansive view of sci-fi, which is fine, and it is a valid. You can have a broad definition of sci-fi, which I wouldn't even object to, but it doesn't mean that you can't have subset. Sure, but it doesn't mean that any subset of that is somehow not valid. It's just not. It's just not the same thing.
Yeah. So let me. My comment. I don't know what Cam's reason for pulling this out, but to put this out for me was to help further define it a little more narrowly, because science fiction is very, very broadly defined. Most bookstores you go into in the past used to have science fiction and fantasy, in the same area, mashed together as if they're the same thing. And I'd be like, what? That's not the same. What's going on?
Yeah, that's true. The Walden Books was a sci-fi and fantasy club.
Those bastards.
Mm-hmm.
They should be shot. But the point to me for this diagram was to try to further define it a little bit more.
We agree on that.
So yeah, we are defining, we are throwing some things out. Like I am, maybe suggesting that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon might not fit as science fiction. They are adventure fiction with a science background, right? Like we say that Star Wars is, most people agree that Star Wars is not, and Cam and I agree on this, it's not science fiction. It is science fantasy or space fantasy, primarily because Star Wars would not fit in the, it doesn't have much about this speculating about the nature of humanity. It's got, technology, a little bit futuristic elements, but it's mainly more of a, it fits more of a fantasy story, space wizards and swords. And they don't, we're not looking at, what would happen if we had space wizards and swords. No, it's just part of the universe, and it's not really reflecting on, how that affects us. I mean, you can do some of that, but it depends on how loosey-goosey you want to be with the how it's speculating on humanity. But generally people would agree with that, right?
Yes, and I think at some point, and everyone's welcome to. You could just say, "Hey, I think your Venn diagram is garbage, and I disagree with it in every way." Okay, that's fine.
And you'd be wrong.
Well, let's see what PB says.
Okay. You want to read that, Cam?
Yes, a sci-fi story outside of this diagram may still be sci-fi. Yes, I believe that's true. Diagram is narrow, yes, but anything outside of this may be very valid. I'm not making a claim about validity, I don't think, at all. I mean, again, I've acknowledged throughout
the purpose of this diagram is to make it more narrow.
Yes.
Right? Because
if you don't have a definition, a specific thing.
Yeah, if you don't have a definition, then anything can be it, right?
Maybe it's confusing that we title these things, "Is it sci-fi?" implying that if it's not strictly in here, it isn't sci-fi. In reality, though, that's not my position, at least. And I don't even think it's yours. I think you're saying it's real sci-fi. That's kind of the term you've used. But you wouldn't, I don't think you would say that anything that isn't strictly in the center isn't sci-fi or doesn't have sci-fi elements, at least.
Well, yeah, of course, it can have science fiction elements, but to be in the sweet spot, you need to fit in the center. But again,
right, and that's it. And again,
some of the you might have a big blue aspect, you might have a lot of red, you might have very little yellow, you might have more yellow than blue. These don't have to be in exact equal amounts, and they're never going to be.
And that
would be impossible.
Spoiler, Snob has made me do this so we have something to talk about, because if we just said, "Hey, G.I. Joe, yes or no?" Yes. Okay, then we move on, right? The whole point is to facilitate discussion about these things and say, well, yeah, okay, it does have more of this element, a little less of that element. And that was supposed to be the fun part of this whole thing, was having these discussions. And I'm not trying to say... I take all the comments here to be of good nature, and the acrimony here is also for fun, even though it's not fake. The acrimony is real, and I really dislike Snob. But that's sorry, a little behind the scenes. Anyway, the point is, this is all about having these discussions. So, and now next week we will continue the actual topic of the show, because we've already burned over an hour on. Still arguing about the nature of the definitions.
Yeah. But, people can have different ideas about the definitions.
Well, yeah, again, we have not said that they can't.
Part of my, I think that we are doing, I don't want to blow smoke up our own asses here, but, I think we're a little bit, have you seen anybody else ever talking about trying to further define science fiction? Maybe there are, but I haven't seen anybody else doing it. I think we might be, and you guys in the chat as well, we might be on the cutting edge. In the future, 1,000 years from now, everyone will go like, "Hey, remember that show? These guys, they really talked about it, and oh yeah, this is how they came to their discussion. And Ken was so wrong, and Stomp was right. What a smart guy
you don't have
he
to
was."
wait 1,000 years for that.
Look at the 1,000-foot statue we've made in his honor, because he further defined what real science fiction is. That kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah, see, Snob envisions this as him standing there with his hand reaching to the stars, and me, at his feet, scribbling in a notebook or something.
Yeah. Or maybe looking up with me with upraised arms, with a look in your eye, like something like that. Maybe I could be stepping on you at the same
like the classic Luke and Leia thing with
something like that.
So,
No, but seriously, have you
well,
seen anybody talking about this,
mm,
like trying to define science fiction? Hey, what is this science
I'm
fiction? Is
sure
that
people
we've come
have.
up with instead of just arguing back and forth saying, so Star Wars is science fiction. No, yes, no, yes, no. We've come up with a definition and tried to fit
Yeah,
things in there and see if they fit and say, hey, this fits, this doesn't fit. Is this
yeah.
definition? This is just a definition. It can be changed. But we're doing that, and I don't see anybody else doing that. And maybe there are. Hey, if someone else is doing that, let me know about it, and I'll
Right, and
follow
we'll
them.
strike their channel.
I'll strike their channel down and kill them so that they can
Well,
steal our glory.
okay, so I don't know if anyone's done it in this fashion. I'm sure there are people that have tried to define it in one way or another. But the most common the most common thing that I see is more like talking about eras of sci-fi.
Yeah, and the most common discussions I see about is it science fiction is usually revolves around something like Star Wars. Where when people say no, it's just space wizards and laser sword. It's just fantasy with a science fiction with a science background on it, and that But like I said, we've defined this a little more so we can actually have something to go on and say why it is or isn't science fiction.
Okay, all that being said and unresolved, do we want to go on to your list and take a few, or do we just want to say, hey, let's just
hail to Space King,
call it a night?
I think that we should. Quinn's ideas. Yeah, Quinn gets into these sort of. I haven't seen him do anything like this, but he gets into this deeply when talking about other specific books. Okay, well, Michael, if you're saying that he gets into when he's not talking about specific books, he tends to go like focus on like he did everything about Dune, and he just ripped that to shreds like he did a million stuff on there, and very knowledgeable. I have to look and see if he's not talking about specific books if he talks about that. But yeah, he is a very seems like a very intellectual guy who sort of goes into this kind of stuff. I don't know that he's ever talk about this, but yeah. I think we should bring it up.
Okay, sure.
I mean, we've defined this a little bit better. The audience now
Not really.
knows. Well, they know where we stand on it. And
yes, in two different places.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think the only commonality that we have is that we agree that, for the purpose of discussion, that a admittedly narrow definition is, legitimate.
I don't agree to that. No.
Okay, go ask yourself, buddy. I'm out of here.
I agree that the colors are very pretty on this diagram.
No,
that's what I agree.
Who doesn't like primary color?
Okay, I got to pull up we're in such a hurry. I didn't pull up the old stuff. I got to add the things in here. Well, that's not what I want. What's going on here? I got to bring up. Okay, what we want is media slides. All right, let's pull up the slides. Here we go. All right, we were on slide. So part of the reason for fixing our diagram, Cam, is to sometimes examples are a good way to discuss it and figure out your definitions, right? So we talked about these movies last time, so we can further develop and see if our definition works when we talk about specific examples, right? Would you agree with that? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we did the Matrix, right? We ended up on the Matrix. So 4 out of number 4. So there's 23 slides on this. We don't have to get through them all, but anyway. So maybe by going through some of these examples, we can further define our definition or see if it works or not. And I'm very interested to hear what the chat thinks as well. Okay, so after the Matrix, we've talked about that. So should we skip Star Wars? Or do you want to talk about it?
But no, skip it. But
we kind of talked about it a bit.
One note on this is, as I was reviewing these early episodes, is we did acknowledge that many things don't fall into our definition for the reason of the speculative nature, or they're very weak on the speculative nature.
Yeah, very weak on it. Yeah, for sure. And Star Wars is definitely one of those. And again, I mean, this has been talked about in science fiction circles forever. And I generally agree that Star Wars is not, the original Star Wars is not science fiction. it is space fantasy or science fantasy, and it has elements of science fiction, but it wouldn't be quote pure or real science fiction. And that's not to say that it's not good or whatever, but generally speaking, all the non-snobs out there would be going, "Oh, yeah, Star Wars, yeah, that's science fiction." But
right, because
no,
lasers,
and
spaceships.
yeah. So and that's why we're trying to arm our audience so that you can tell them, no, you people are wrong, and I'm going
to develop snobbery.
That's right. New Star Wars definitely comments on the current state of humanity and forcing a reality upon us. But it's damn.
That's a meta. That's a meta thing.
The problem, and that's the problem with it. And it's because it just comments like you're supposed to comment on the speculative nature of humanity, not Trump bad. Or whatever you're.
No, it was George. It was George Bush. It was bad.
Bush bad or whatever. Okay, you recognize this one?
Nope. I do. I forget the name of it though. It was
Children of Men.
Yeah. We talked about this, didn't we?
We did. We talked about this movie, yeah, because I hadn't seen it and I watched it, and yeah. So, you want to go first?
Trying to remember.
Star Wars is sci-fi. Come on. No, it's not, man. Look at the definition. Star Wars is not science fiction. We already did. All right. Anyway, Children of Men. You want to go first? I can go first if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the thing with Children of Men is it's set in the future, maybe slightly in the very near future, but the story is about nobody can get pregnant anymore, and it's set in the future because it's set 20 years. At the beginning of the movie, there's a kid who turns 19, and it's all on the news. The last person to be born, named so and so, is now 19. So it's been like 20 years since a baby has been born, and this story follows this girl here in the. The story is mainly about the male in the thing, but this girl. This is near the very end of the movie. This picture is taken, and she actually has she is pregnant, and the baby is born in the building behind them while there's a war going on, and the baby crying stops everybody from fighting. The army is being sent in to clear out this refugee area, which is kind of a refugee / terrorist camp, because everything's been falling apart because nobody's everyone society's ending. So, no one's been born, so no one knows why. So yeah. So is this science fiction? It's set in the future. Is technology critical to it? Not really. But it speculates about human nature, seriously. Like, what would happen if all of a sudden, we had we couldn't reproduce our society? How would that affect us, and how would we operate? And the whole society falls apart, right?
Yeah, this is much. I agree. I was trying to remember what we had talked about before, and I think it was that we said that the blue, or the technological impact on society, was basically not there in terms of the story. Not that futuristic technology isn't there.
And again, this is a dystopia, right?
Right.
This is a classic, not classic, but this is a dystopian style story, and some of those tend to, not worry about technology that because it doesn't matter. Dystopian thriller. Yeah,
so exactly. I kind of say no. It kind of falls outside of that our working definition. What do you say?
Well, definitely the technological impact on the story is very, very minimized down to near zero. If I could, I'm just trying to think, if I could. Michael, there's no tech in it. I can't think of any tech in it that.
Well, there's no future tech in it. Obviously, there's
no future tech. They're using tech.
Yeah.
These guys, these soldiers are dressed in, somewhat
conventional military.
Like, there's nothing here that I would go.
Well, what we should be doing is we should be.
Except for these little. The only thing, Cam, is see these little light things, the little. Screen things over their eye that pull down. The American forces use some of those, but they're not. But they're more. These look like more targeting things. So they're kind of sciencey, but
But it has no, it's not, the story's not about that.
no, it isn't. It doesn't matter. Like, it's
So
not.
so what we should be doing is we should be putting dots on our diagram as to where a particular thing falls, because that might help.
You could do that. You could do a whole array thing. That's usually those 4-quadrant.
PB, no, just being set in the future does not define the answer. It's part of the answer. It's part of the answer.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, being set in the future. I mean,
right, but that alone doesn't define it.
That's
the whole point. Is we have these different elements.
Yeah, if it's set in the future, that is futuristic elements, perhaps relative to humanity. I mean, there's where you can battle it out and say, well, if it's set, 20 years in the future, but everything's the same as it is now, does that still mean it's a futuristic element relative to humanity? Maybe, because maybe the story is saying that 20 years or 40 years go by and our technology doesn't advance at all. That would be a main aspect to the story, right?
Okay,
so go 40 years in the future and our technology is not going to advance at all. Wait, what's going on?
So what's your answer? Yes or no?
It's it's 2 out of 3. I would still say it's on the line, man. It's got 2 of the 3. It's big on the yellow, on the speculative nature of humanity.
Yeah. So you've built a trap for yourself because you have overemphasized the yellow in your preference, and thus you are getting dragged into it.
I've trapped myself.
Even though the blue is essentially non-existent, the relevance of the blue just doesn't exist.
I have said that, it can still be science fiction.
Not
it can
real
emphasize. It can emphasize. Well, remember, real science fiction to me is the yellow is the key aspect of it. That's what, for me, that's what makes it. But in this story, the technological impact on the story is very, very much not de-emphasized or not even not there. So
can we get an answer?
It's on the line. It's on the line, man.
Okay, so I say no when you say eh. Okay, got it. Next, please.
All right. I'm gonna stick to that one. Recognize this one?
No, PB. The working way that we go with this diagram is that when it has all 3 parts, it lands in the middle, and then thus it is this narrow and specific definition of sci-fi. So
technically it needs all 3 aspects to be science fiction. That's why we did the diagram. That's why sci-fi is in the middle of it. Let me just shall I just go like that? I don't know. That might be too small. Is that better? Everybody get a better look at that. So if it's in the center, it's science fiction for sure. The question becomes that, well, what if it doesn't have much blue? What if it doesn't have much red?
Yeah, then it starts to drift into other areas, which still may be in the broad definition of science fiction, but they starts to drift away from the hard definition. Yeah. Okay. Planet of the Apes.
So, Planet of the Apes. I forgot I just watched this again. I watched it again because we're doing it next week, but I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Definitely has the speculative nature about humanity. Definitely. That's big.
True.
Right? Big.
Yeah.
Futuristic element relative to humanity. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to jump to the end. I'm going to say yes, it is sci-fi, but there are some elements that are a little bit they're in there, but they kind of drift out, like for example, the technological impact on the story. Again, futuristic technological impact on the story is really the better way to say it. And they did have spaceships. They did arrive here via some, space travel, even though they ended up back on Earth.
Yeah.
And it is, they did, effectively time travel. They didn't literally time travel. And like I said, the speculative nature there is there, but the thing is, it's like the technology isn't really what drives the story. I mean, the futuristic technology.
It doesn't have to drive, like it doesn't,
but that's kind of what the blue is. I mean, again, the technology.
No, it's technology impact.
Okay,
the story.
futuristic technology impact on the story. It's so again, the major impact on the story is really nuclear weapons, right? Ultimately, that's kind of what triggered
Yeah.
this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and so, but that's conventional technology. So like I said, I think it's there, but thin on that aspect of it.
No, this is real. This is real. So this is big on the yellow, right?
Yeah.
You would agree? Like this is a lot of yellow, right?
Yeah.
And then future elements relative to humanity, yes, because it's set.
Yes.
It's 2,000 years in the future.
No, not 2000. It's like 20,
No,
200,000 or something.
it's 2,000 years.
No, it's not just.
Yeah, it's
Okay, go ahead.
39
Go
something. When I just watched it again, and I always get that wrong, so I checked it. It's supposedly they Charlton Heston looks at the thing and he goes, "It's 39 something. It's 2,000 years in the future," and he mentions it later when you watch it again, because we're doing it for next week. Yeah. So technology impact on the story. So this is kind of de-emphasized because
you're right.
it's a it's a past. The society they come into is actually less technologically advanced than what they come from, but they do come in a spaceship and etc. Right? But
Yeah.
that's not key. This is mainly about the speculative nature of humanity. What happened if apes were in charge, and look how we treat animals, and now they're treating us as animals. That kind, those aspects. So
Well, see,
big on the yellow, little less on the red, and less on the blue.
So the way I would put it is those elements are in there, but they kind of they don't drive the story in the way they usually would.
But they don't have to.
I didn't say they had to. I'm just noting the differences in this case. Like I said, they're present. Those elements are present, but they're arranged differently and they work differently in this story.
I think Michael sums it up. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely sci-fi. So the next mission at NASA is science fiction. I don't know. Is NASA doing any science fiction, or are they just farming
Jeff is just being a contrarian at this point. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I mean, NASA just farms all their crap out to Elon Musk or what's his name from Blue Origin, Bezos, right? Does NASA do anything anymore?
Okay. But conventional technology, just a story about conventional technology, is not science fiction by our definition, and I don't think by even a broader definition. If a story about cell phones isn't really science fiction.
No, but you could have other aspects of these elements in there, right? Like, what if your cell phone connected directly to your brain?
Okay, but that's an advancement. How would that change? That's not conventional. You're right. You're right. Good. Okay. All right. So you say yes, and I say yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aliens.
I will say yes.
Come on, this is an easy one.
I said yes.
Yeah. It's got, obviously technology is involved, futuristic elements of humanity, speculative nature about humanity. There's some, what if we meet, a xenomorph? How will we act? How are we going to act? How are we going to deal with it?
I just rewatched this, by the way. I think I mentioned it last week.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, I think it's all there.
Yeah.
But this is, as you would say, it's really a kind of a war space adventure. Very heavily.
Yes, it's heavily onto the blue and the red. There's less so about the speculative nature of humanity. Okay, Blade Runner. Now that might be.
I'm going to say yes again.
Yeah, I would too. But this one is big on the as opposed to Aliens. This is big on the speculative nature of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be human? That's what Roy Batty is talking about, right? Like that's the whole, what are we doing to these guys?
I think it's more what is it to be alive, but
sure.
At least replicating humanity, sure.
Planet of the Apes is Buck Rogers, but with apes. No. Because there's a lot of speculation about humanity in there. Yes, there's aspects of it. It is kind of, that adventure, like it focuses on that, but it leaves in it, the nature of humanity, What if
If
that's all
you
there, man?
if you recall, Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston is waxing eloquent about the nature of humanity and things pretty heavily at the beginning. It's like a whole scene where he's blathering about that.
I watched it last night or the night before, Friday or Saturday.
Well, so you remember that, obviously.
I'm getting ready. Watching my first through. Blade Runner. Yes, I would think so too. Yeah, big time speculating about humanity. That aspect is definitely there for sure, and technology.
I think it's actually a fairly good example of that. It's almost a prototypical sci-fi, but even though it is late, it's not really in the era. It's from the 60s. I think the story that's based on.
Dick.
Oh,
I think he wrote it in the. This is, you don't know this. This is Interstellar.
It's Interstellar. I never saw it though.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
No.
Okay. All right, I'll have to deal with the chat. Yeah, you should see Cam. You should see Interstellar. Do I have to give you a quick?
I know the basics of it. I think
Earth is dying.
Yeah.
They fire them off through this. They find a wormhole in off of Jupiter or something like that, and they go, oh, they've detected something beyond the wormhole, so they're gonna go check it out. So they send these probes to these 13, I think it's 13 or 9 or something different planets. And they send one guy to each one, and you're supposed to go there and send back information about the planet. And then the team with that the story focuses on, three or four of them, they're supposed to go and pick, like they'll get the data, and then they're going to go to that planet, rescue the guy, and then humanity's going to come and live on that planet somehow. So there's a lot of shit going on. Like, if your planet, you go to this planet, and if it's not a good planet for humans to live on, you're screwed. You're going to die there. It's a one-way ticket. And so the story revolves around Matt Damon. He sends them false data because he wants to be picked up. So they end up going there, and there's 3 different. Some of them don't send back data. They have 3 to pick from, and they end up going to the one place here. This is the water planet where every hour you spend is like I don't know, a year or something like that. Like they spend 7 hours on the planet, 7 years goes by, something like that. So that it's an exploration story. Technology's there, future humanity. Is it big on the speculative nature of humanity? I don't know. What does the chat think? A little bit. I mean, it's not a dystopian, but it's a sort of an exploration. But they don't even go to the planet that they're supposed to go to. There's aspects of time dilation and everything, but he eventually gets picked up and goes back to they pick him up. But Earth has already sorted itself out, right? They're living on some sort of space station. They seem to sorted everything out, but he has to go back and get Catwoman. Just go meet her because he falls in love with her or something. Yeah, science fiction, time travel, and interdimensional travel. That's kind of primarily what it's about. All right. Is it sci-fi? I'd say yes. Yeah.
Looks like Michael PB and Death Angel Shadow will be starting their own channel to discuss their definition of sci-fi. And I wish them well.
Don't horn in on our thing. We don't want competition. Tell them that they can come on this channel and discuss it. That way we diffuse people competing with us. But this is interesting. Gadget blue, social change red, human impact yellow. I mean, that could be a way of defining things that is a little more clear. That's not not necessarily a bad idea. All right, next, Contact. This one, right, Cam?
Yeah, I did.
Jodie Foster.
Also with Matthew McConaughey, oddly enough.
He's in everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
Yes.
Okay, Interstellar, yes. Okay, yeah, you guys are. You guys are a bit behind. Okay, I would probably agree. Speculating about the nature of humanity, yes. Through the aliens, like how does it affect us? How do we operate? Um, Technology. I mean, we build this big machine, and futuristic element relative to humanity. Yeah, finding out. It's a good story. Based on what would we do if we discover, how would it affect humans if we discover that we're not alone in the universe? That is
Yeah,
a big aspect of
fairly
science
classic.
fiction.
Yeah.
Classic. It's been probably the biggest trope there is about, and to be honest, I think that it's rightly so. I mean, how would that change our thought, our place in the universe? Religion, everything would be affected.
Yeah, PB Matthew McConaughey was a theologian in the movie.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey. He's also the love interest to Jodie Foster in the movie. Contact, yes, but bad science fiction. Science, yes. Fiction, yes. All right. Predator. Cam.
I think it will. I think it will fail in the speculative area pretty hard. I can't really think of anything that's falls in there very easily. So I'm going to say no, not within this definition.
And that's part of the reason why I'm picking these things to put them in there to give us a better. I mean, Predator. It's basically an action movie with an alien. So yeah, the first it's very kind of similar to not the same, but in kind of the way it's an adventure story with science elements, like Buck Rogers or however. We don't really speculate on the human nature other than kill. I mean, you could argue and say, yeah, there is.
I mean,
are not giving up and
but for example,
against impossible odds.
This could have been it could have been some kind of creature from the underworld or something, I mean, just as easy, and the story really wouldn't have changed much.
Yeah, Cthulhu.
So yeah,
you're right. You're making a good point. I mean, like I said, you could I could maybe dig in there real deep and say, hey, they're speculating about how, like I said, giving up and the human spirit, how we never give up, and Arnold, but it's very much de-emphasized that it's not about that primarily. It's about the blue and the red. I think.
Yeah, it's a step below Aliens, I think, in terms of.
Yeah, but similar, but again with less emphasizing of that. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
See, I told you. Sometimes looking at examples help. Edge of Tomorrow, supposedly working on a second movie. Not sure how they're going to do that, but
the speculative nature of humanity is a little thin on this, if at all. It's very much the same category as Predator.
Well, but we're facing our world being destroyed, so that's a little bit more of. But it doesn't emphasize that, right? Like, it's not like, oh, if the aliens win, we're going to be all dead. Like, it doesn't look into that. It just, it's back there, but it's not discussed.
Yeah, it's if anything, at best, it's weak in the yellow.
Yeah, and I would agree. But there is some aspect about, well, what if we were living the same day over and over again, right? There's, how would that affect you personally? A person, it's not about humanity, but it is, interesting to look at. How, what would you do? How would you operate? In this sense, that's de-emphasized because it's not like he can, he's going to go and he's just going to, Groundhog Day looks at that playing, over and over again. And what would you do? He's got to fight a war. So, in that sense, it's less than, but yeah, please no sequel. I think, if it's done properly, but I don't see how you would, but Yeah, we shall see. Oh ho! Okay, you recognize this one?
Oh, that's it's not Sector 13. It's what is it called? Oh, I
District
forget.
9.
District 9. District 9.
District 9, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
No, you take this one because I don't remember it that well.
Yes, I would say so because there is some speculation about humanity when we're dealing with these. You remember the story, right?
Vaguely.
A spaceship shows up in South Africa over. I don't think it's Johannesburg, and it just sort of sits there and nothing happens. We wait and wait, and nothing happens. Finally, we go onto the ship, and there's all these aliens on there, and they appear to be like idiots. They are, and they bring them down and they put them into basically refugee camps, and they live there, and they've been living there for 10 years, 20 years, something like that. Great movie, you should see it. Yeah, excellent. D9 needs a sequel, yes, for sure. There, and there's lots to do there. So it's how do we deal with these alien refugees? And they're alien, they're disgusting, they eat cat food, they love cat food, but there's something else going on there because it's like they're obviously intelligent. They came from another solar system on this ship, but when they arrive, they know nothing about anything. It's like they've been mind wiped, or the leaders have been killed, and these are all drones or something from a hive mind, and the hive mind is gone. So they're like little children. Now I'm speculating here. This is not in the movie that they're a hive mind, but something has happened to them because they're just useless. They have all this technology, but yet they're they're just living in slums eating. They don't try to take us over, nothing. They take whatever the UN gives them. They have this advanced weaponry, but we can't use it. It's only tied to their biology somehow. Only they can hold the weapon. Only they can use the weapon, but they have no interest in using it. They're just sort of running around these slums eating and, having, I guess they grow by some egg sacs or something. And they have, they have all these eggs, and there's even more of them. So the UN is going around, killing them as soon as possible, because there's already too many of them. So yeah, it's an interesting aspect of our, how we see ourselves and how we operate. The story ends up by there's actually one that is intelligent that escapes, and of course somehow one of the main character of the story gets infected, and he starts to change into one of them. And of course the government's trying to use them. They're like, hey, he's halfway changed and his arm works, and they're using it to. They're like, hey, you can fire the gun. So yeah, it's very interesting. Edge of Tomorrow, yes. Weak on the tech, despite the exoskeletons. Okay, interesting. District 9 is a great film, yeah. Alien Nation's done better. I think that's probably the huge commentary on humanity and how we treat each other using the aliens as an allegory. Yeah, for sure. Dog food, I thought it was cat food, but yeah. They're the worker class of their planet. As it said, it's Alien Nation done better. Yeah, so... but they're really dumb. Like they eat, like, the worker class of our planet would rise up, and they are somehow, they lack the ability to do things on their own. They lack sort of free will, not 100% free will, but they don't seem to know how to use it and stuff. But there's tons. The sequel could go into much more detail onto what's going on with the aliens, and the guy who escapes, what happens if he comes back and he brings friends. Plus, we have the main character who's now an alien and is running around in this. Nobody knows who he is. But anyway, yeah, great movie. Great movie. Neil Blomkamp, I think, is the director. Do you recognize this one, Cam? You know this one.
Oh, Dark City, right?
Yeah, science fiction.
Yes.
It's got technology, futuristic elements, speculative nature about humanity. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about aliens manipulating humanity. Yeah, I'd say it's there.
Yeah, it's there. It's not super emphasized. Is it the key thing about it? I mean, there's with this power, the power that he has to change and shape that the main character gets. I mean, are we speculating about humanity a bit there? I think so. Yeah, I'd probably say that. Yeah, it was Dark City. Any comments in the chat? Dark City, science fiction or not? Okay, we're going good. We'll get through these. Hopefully that'll clear things up. You haven't seen this one.
No.
This is Gattaca.
Right.
Great movie. You got to see Gattaca. Cam, got to get it. Gattaca. It's all about big on the speculative nature of humanity. All about genetic ability. Right. The hero of the story is isn't his younger brother is genetically. Basically, his parents have him, quote, the natural way, and then their second son they have through it's genetic engineering, not full genetic engineering. I think they just go through and they sort of choose the best sperm for the egg and kind of pick out the best characteristics. But it's all about he wants to be a navigator on a spaceship, but nobody wants him to do it. But he can't even get a try at it because he's genetically inferior. So he goes through this process about how to, he basically takes on the identity of another person who is genetically superior, has all the proper markings, goes through this, super intense effort in order to not leave any DNA anywhere, and to go through the training to become, to get this position as a navigator in a spaceship. And he's got to hide. Looks at the aspect of the guy who was supposed to be, this genetically superior person, but gets injured in an accident and can't walk afterwards. And the aspect of how he feels about his situation, his depression, etc. Yeah, see, always the chat puts it better than I can. DNA manipulation created 2 caste system on Earth, augmented and natural birth, and everybody's going for augmented. Anyway, the storyline is that the main character, even though he is, even though he is natural, he is not augmented, he's not superior, he is the best at his job, and he gets through and gets on to do the job. And meanwhile, everyone is like, oh, no, no, you could never be, unless you're augmented, you are inferior. And you shouldn't even have the chance. Like he's relegated to doing, janitorial jobs. He can't get can't get into even school or anything to do anything better. So yeah, it's all about speculative nature of humanity, and what if we were able to genetically manipulate ourselves? And again, even then, it's not the whole society is. There's one point in the movie where they have these like it's like a 1 minute DNA test, right? This girl comes in and I don't know, some guy has kissed her on the lips, and she goes to this and she says, yeah, he just kissed me. Can you tell me? And they swab her lip and they go, well, I don't know if I can or not, but we'll do the best we can. So she's on a date with some guy. She kisses him and then goes right away immediately to try to get a look and see what his DNA is like, to see if he's a good match for her, to see if she's he's a guy that she should continue to date. So I mean, that's an aspect of how it would change our society, just even that little way. Societal change based on simple tech improvement, almost instant DNA blood test. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a weak heart. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. Yeah. So, yeah, very interesting. Great story. Not much focus on the technology. Well, DNA technology, I guess. But it's kind of de-emphasized. It's not really about the technology. It's about this. It's very big on the yellow.
Well, but is it again? I didn't see it, but wouldn't that DNA manipulation be the technology that is greatly impacting the story?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. But it's very much about it's very focused on the the nature of humanity and how the society changes and stuff. Yes, the tech has a good, but um, I mean, 1 minute DNA test. I mean, we probably could. I mean, I don't think we can do it quite, but that's not that far out. Okay, Jurassic Park. Got to put some in there that are maybe a little more difficult, right?
Well, okay. The technology certainly drives the story,
Right.
Right? Because without that technology,
It's an important aspect. For sure.
I mean, it couldn't exist without it. The story could not happen without that. The
futuristic elements.
Futuristic. It's not. I mean, it's not.
Well, we
terribly futuristic. I mean,
we can't do this yet, but
well,
it's kind of we maybe
some things.
Yeah, but not to the extent. And
but
they put together some DNA. Right?
It's a relatively short jump, though.
Relatively,
to get to that.
But that doesn't mean it's not science fiction because
it's there. But I'd say
is there a jump? Not how big the jump is.
Yeah, it's a pretty pink red.
Sure,
I'd say. And speculative nature. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is some of that in there because you have the question of should because should you do because you can should you that's.
But I would say that is not big in.
Yeah, it's weak in those areas.
Yeah, because I mean the storyline is not. Yeah, not that it's the story isn't focused on that so much. It's an aspect of it. I mean, it's kind of more of an adventure story, right? But there is some, there is some aspect. Scientists, should we do it? But
yeah, it's there, but it's weak in the yellow and the red.
But it's science fiction or not?
Yeah, I think it is.
All right, I would say it's science fiction. All right,
we're talking about the movie.
Yeah, the movie. We're talking about movies.
I guess. I mean,
I heard that somebody cloned their pet. That some. Yeah, I was surprised they were talking about it. Yeah.
I guess that this piece of crap does qualify. I mean, technology is there. It's it is at least partially driving the story because again, space travel is why we interact with these aliens and things. Again, the weaponry and everything is the story is a war story essentially, so it does impact that future relative humanity, yes. And speculative nature, I guess, in the most clownish, didn't understand it kind of way, yeah.
So I would agree that the yellow is very de-emphasized, though. Like I mean, the book is.
I think it's heavily emphasized. It's just stupid. It's just
you think so?
Moronic take on it. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's just we got to survive. We got to defeat the enemy. That's not really.
Well, I think it's very heavily there. It's just a stupid take on it. You know what I'm saying? Really? Meaning the volume of it is there. It's very present.
It's shallow.
Yes.
It might be if you're going to say it's a mile wide, it's an inch deep, but I wouldn't say it's a mile wide. I'd say it's a foot wide and an inch and quarter of an inch deep. I mean,
but it's hard to miss though, because it is about the existence. It's about whether they continue to exist or not as a species. It's a genocidal war essentially.
This is definitely science fiction action. Similar to Aliens. Which you would say sci-fi action. So, Umbris, is that you're talking about this movie here? About so you agree? I think we agree it's science fiction. It's not done well. Speculative nature is not done well, but that's because of the director. What about Battlefield Earth? I didn't put Battlefield Earth on here because I don't think I tried to pick things that were fairly common. That most people would know about, because I don't know that many people have seen or read Battlefield Earth, because
I think that would be fantasy.
Not that good. No, Battlefield. Well, yeah, I don't want to get into it. We could talk. It's set. Battlefield is set in 1,000 years in the future. Okay. You know what this is?
It's the future crime one. What's it called?
Minority Report.
Yeah, right.
So
I never saw it, but I think it. From what I know about it, I think it. Yes.
definitely technology. I mean, they can see in the future. They've got some, technology that's, flying jetpacks and sick sticks and various things like that. Future element relative to humanity. Yes, it's got both the top blue and the red. Big about the speculative nature of humanity. Very big. If we're able to see the future, should we do it? Should people who don't actually commit a crime, but quote, were intended to commit it, are they, should they be put in jail? Because they put in a ton of people in jail because they see that they were going to commit this crime, but did they even have, what about the choice? I think Minority Report is definitely science fiction, and it's big on the speculative nature of it. Minority Report, yes. Battlefield Earth is sci-fi. I would agree that Battlefield Earth is sci-fi. Not good sci-fi, but a Spanish kid has to go kill giant cockroaches in space. Yeah, that's pretty much. Minority Report is sci-fi. Everybody seems to agree. We agree. All right. So, hey, we're getting, it's helping us a little bit. Getting near the end. We'll be done. Oh, you know this one, Cam?
No, I don't recognize that. Right.
It's about some primates and a certain dozen of them.
Oh, it's 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. I'm curious to see what you
didn't see it.
You didn't see 12 Monkeys?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. Technology. I mean, they're time traveling back from the past. I think there's futuristic elements to society. Speculative nature about humanity. I guess I don't know. What does the chat think? How is this speculating on? I mean, I think the first two was pretty obvious. There's some technology. I mean, they're coming from the past, but they're time traveling. How does it speculate about the nature of humanity? What we would do? How to stop? A global pandemic. Yes, there was a short-lived. There was a spin-off series of 12 Monkeys, a TV show. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we are speculating on the nature of humanity somehow, but I'm not sure how how I would describe that particularly. All right, let's put this in maybe closed loop. Nothing changes. It is that aspect of time travel where nothing. It is a closed loop. Yeah, there's nothing changes. You cannot seem to affect the loop. And I think that's what they decide in the future. They basically they allow the pandemic to continue, but what they do is they just simply sit beside the guy who's about to release the pandemic, so they can get a copy of the original one and then find a cure. Of course, there's the interesting aspect of that is that there are certain people in the future who are in power, and many people who are, there's a small elite group that are in power, these doctors, and everybody else is just treated like garbage. So, this is a good way for them to maintain their power perhaps in the future. Technically, yes. So I want to say no because nothing changed the time loop. Science fiction, post-apocalyptic future. Oh, Minority Report spinoff. Well, I think 12 Monkeys had a spinoff too. I'm not sure about Minority Report. Yeah, all right. Let's find one that Cam has seen. Okay, you recognize this one, Cam? And it's not Doctor Strange.
Is that Inception?
It is. It is Inception.
Didn't see it.
Didn't see Inception?
Nope.
All right. Okay, so I think we have technology, we have the futuristic elements, and the speculative nature of humanity. I mean, these people are going down we are looking at humans in a certain sense. That people are going down deep into their thoughts. I mean, we've got our main character, him and his wife, went down, and they lived the whole life in a short amount of time in this dream world. I think there's that aspect is definitely looking at that in a slightly in a certain extent. I'm not sure what the idea is. It's kind of a virtual world. It's somewhat a virtual world. Didn't see Inception. Madman figures it's sci-fi. I mean, it's definitely got the first two elements for sure, and I think there's some speculation about humanity in there. The fifth element, did I put that in there? I don't think so. Okay, Cam, have you seen this one?
Oh, that's The Martian.
It is The Martian.
I don't know. There's really not. I don't think the speculative nature is there in this. I mean, you have a kind of a commentary on perseverance and things like that,
and isolation, and
but that's
being alone. But is that?
It's not speculative though. It's
humanity?
Introspective. It's introspective.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no.
It's got the top two aspects though. It's got right.
Yeah, but those are even. I mean, yes, but I'd say they're both weak as well because they're kind of straight line. Like I said, they're there, but they're not. They're pretty mundane.
Oh, the chat disagrees. The Martian, yes, it's sci-fi. Okay, but if you believe that, what's the speculation about humanity? Is it about how we are when we're alone? Like Cam said, perseverance. What is the
Yeah, I don't think any.
Can you do by yourself?
I mean, it's basically a stranded story.
Lost on a desert island.
Yeah.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars. But that's not to say that again, it doesn't have to be. The speculative nature about humanity doesn't have to be the primary thing in order for it to be science fiction. So I mean, I think it's got the two. For sure. And the question is, how much of the yellow does it have?
Not much, if any.
Smart dogs and a killer demon named Scary Terry in the Inception movie. I think you are thinking of the Rick and Morty version. Scary Terry was in there. Yeah. A Dream Machine is sci-fi. All right.
How many more we got here?
Last one. You got something else to do? Busy.
I don't
light sci-fi.
I don't recognize this.
You don't recognize this one?
No.
All right, I saved the best for last, or the most difficult one. This is what's it called? The Truman Show.
Oh, okay.
Right? I did see that. At the very end of the movie, he drives the boat to the wall, hits the wall. There's other things that were a little more obvious, but Umbers, thanks. We're pretty much at the end of the show anyway. We're about to end off here, but anyway, Truman Show. Waterworld, no. Truman Show.
I'm going to say no.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, trying to look at it when it was
the reason. Okay, the reason I say no is that I think that the futuristic aspect it's too conventional. Even though it is kind of expansive, I don't think that there's anything that's beyond the technology really that was told at the time.
Well, they have a wave machine. They've got
no.
I mean, I would agree that the technology is. I mean, I think there is some technology there. I mean, the ability to build a giant soundstage with water in it and coordinate all that. That's it's not a big aspect of it. It's very, very much smaller, but there is some technology. Is it enough to break the threshold? I could argue with that. Because it is very conventional.
I say no.
Okay, you say no on that aspect. All right, what about the red?
No.
Okay, speculative nature about humanity.
I could see that. I think an argument could be made for that.
I think that's what mainly the movie is about, right?
Yeah,
it's about humanity, and should we do this? Big Brother, a commentary on Big Brother. I'm not sure there was that much because it's not watching everybody. You're just watching this one guy. Deals with the concept of person unknowingly living inside an artificial reality created by advanced technology for television show. Yeah, explores the themes like surveillance, media manipulation, the nature of reality itself through science fiction. I think Madman's got a good point here. It's not about it's not really about Big Brother. That's part of the aspect of it, but it's about us getting it's really about the audience getting their kicks from watching some other person's life in this much detail. The moral aspects of that, I would think. And they buy the baby. They buy the baby at they buy Truman as a baby and stuff. There's some that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
The tech's very weak. Solipsistic. Media and control, same way of 1984 is some aspect of it, but natural progression of reality TV. Remember, this came out before the big reality TV stuff hit. It was after this that they started. Survivor came out, and then now everybody's doing it. 1984's science fiction, so by standard, Michael, it's science fiction. I think this one of those aspects of it, it is more, it's speculating on humanity more than anything else. What we do to other people. Is it right?
Yeah. See, I think it would have been much more. I think it would be much stronger if it was like it was a world. It was a world created of the past by someone that did have more advanced technology. Let's say 100 years in the future, and they're creating a world of the the 90s or whatever when it took place.
They're creating a real world, but yeah.
I don't understand. What was that?
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that, if they recreated a simulation of the past using future technology, but it's not. It's very conventional technology that's being used.
Yeah. So Pepe makes a good point here. We didn't have giant dome enclosures, but we could potentially have built them. And I don't think there was any camera technology, for example, in the show that we wouldn't have been able to do at the time it was made. So part of the problem with Truman is that you've got the guy with the garbage can every day, and he's always got his garbage can. He's got this giant lens on it, but of course Truman doesn't know that it's he's just like, oh, that's the way garbage cans are made, I guess, right? Like we'd never seen anything else. So how advanced does the tech need to be? 1 second advanced? A year?
Well, see, what we've
month,
what we've discussed in the past is if it's just a straight line, and that's all it is from. PB, you seem to want to argue with the argument isn't the problem. It's you're not accepting our premise for our own purpose a lot of times, which challenging that premise is fine. He doesn't have to, and challenging it. I'm saying I'm not. He wasn't here in those earlier episodes where we really established these things. So I think it is, just might not be understanding the root of it. And I was about to explain one of those things is the way we talked about it is if it's just a straight line and near advancement that you can easily envision, like just a bigger engine, for example, more powerful engine, or a rocket that can go, using the same technology that can go a little bit farther, or it has a little bit heavier lift or something like that. Those are things that we say don't really qualify for our
Well,
purpose.
I don't know about that.
Well, again, we've said this before and we've used those definitions before, which you now disagree with. So
So Truman Show, technology impact on the story. That's there, right? Because there's technology is impacting the story is being watched by all kinds of technology all over the time, right?
disagree.
So you'd agree.
It's not a futuristic technology. It's completely
No, but it doesn't have to be.
No, it does have to be. It's
No,
not,
not-
yes, a conventional technology that's again, we had this argument before too. You just having military technology in something that's completely conventional does not mean that it qualifies for the technology in the purpose of this discussion. That does not qualify for the blue because it's completely conventional.
Well, I
Yeah, okay. If you can argue that there is advanced technology, then go ahead and make that argument.
No, because that's your red circle. Futuristic elements relative to humanity. So technology impact on the story. That just means that the technology impacts the story, right? The technology that's going on is a big element to the story. And in the Truman Show, for example, technology is impacting the story because he's being watched everywhere he goes. But for example, like Children of Men, the technology, it's not impacting the story. It doesn't matter. It's not a key element. But in this one, the fact that he's being watched all the time, that piece of technology, even though it's not future technology, is a big impact on the story. So in my view, the blue does not necessarily have to be future technology. It just means that the technology has some sort of key element to the story. Otherwise, there's no technology in it. It's not science fiction. It's fantasy. It's something else. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I'm answering PB.
Okay. All right. So I for me, the technology just means it's an important element in the story. It doesn't have to be a future technology. Now, for the red side, of course, that's different. Future element relative to humanity. That's where you can have some sort of future tech, something that we don't have now, right? So that's where you have your future tech. I mean, the technology impacting the story, it can be from the future, but it just means that, again, the technology has some impact on the story. It's important to the story.
I'm not going to bother to discuss it.
Okay.
You've obliterated the whole the whole point of it. I mean, it really serves no purpose at all anymore.
What? No, it's just further defining, being a little more specific. Oh, am I wrong? Truman Show was 1998. I thought it was the early 90s. Was already done. I mean, it took it beyond what it was done.
Meaning it was set in 1998?
No, when it was made, I thought it was set in the present. Yeah, Truman Show's prophecy of modern times and always watching people online. Yeah, so I think there's this big aspect of speculation about humanity. All right, okay, that's the last one. All right, let's head back. Any last minute? Oh, let me.
One other comment with PB is again, I like having those kinds of discussions, so I welcome you to challenge the things. The only thing that I'm trying to say is, you're challenging it, I think, from a position of not understanding where it's coming from necessarily, which is fine, because if it's, you want to know where it came from, that's great. Ask that question too. It's just, I think, that your vision of it and its purpose is not, we haven't explained it sufficiently, or you just disagree with it maybe. And either one is fine. And challenging all that is cool with me. That's not the problem. What's not cool with me is Snob contradicting himself and making a joke of the entire process.
Consistency is the hallmark of the unimaginative. I'm big on, hey, you guys want to challenge? That's good. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're trying to hash out these things. I'm not necessarily, honestly, not necessarily thinking we have the answers. The point is to discuss them and come up with answers, or think about it and say, what about this? What about that? How would these fit in? And then maybe defining our definition in the process, or maybe throwing it out. I mean, if it doesn't fit, and you throw it out and start again, or whatever. I mean, it's just an interesting thought experiment. Don't be challenge us. Why not? That's the whole part of the show. I mean, we do the show so that we can, part of the reason I do the show is that I can get other ideas to discuss it with like-minded people, and come across different ideas about what things may or may not be. Is Singing in the Rain sci-fi? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Singing in the Rain. Truman Show is not sci-fi. It's a commentary on society. It's definitely a commentary on society for sure. Is it sci-fi?
I'm sorry. Did you actually have an
Dave
answer? What was your answer?
No, I'm gonna decline to answer.
Oh, well, that's great. What a wonderful show when we're discussing whether these things are and you aren't answering.
It's too controversial.
Why am I here? Why am I here?
I don't want to look stupid by making the wrong choice. I'm gonna decline to answer on that one. That one's a tough one, and that's why I ended with it. Truman Show. Is it or not? I mean, Jeff's got, like I said, Jeff's got a good point. It's comment. It's. I mean, that's primarily what it is. A comment.
In this case, I agree. I agree with Jeff.
But the question is, does it still fit in science fiction? That's a much, much tougher question. Dave liked the show, even if Cam didn't. I'm glad somebody did. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dave. You're always a very positive member of the chat, but really everybody's a pretty positive member because we, honestly, in all truth, challenges are what make for interesting conversation. So
exactly,
all good. I'm very pleased with the chat.
Awesome. Sci-fi as in tech that doesn't exist yet. Well, yeah, for me too, that means that is the red. I should pull it back up. That is the red portion. I'm going to just expand a little bit. The red portion of the diagram. Like, see, blue means technology impact on the story. That means there's some sort of technology in it, and it impacts. It's a key, some sort of factor in impacting what the story is what's going on. Right. So I guess the example would be we'll go back to Star Wars. If we made Star Wars over with wizards instead of space wizards and regular swords instead of laser swords, would it impact the story? It would be maybe not. Right. Futuristic elements relative to humanity. That means some sort of element, be it technology, something that is futuristic to us or to when the story was written about. And of course, the speculative nature of humanity, that's where we're looking at, questions about, hey, how would this affect our society, etc. So that's how I see it anyway. Ken doesn't agree.
See, the example there, I think that we used in the past was like about a pandemic or something like that. The technology, the disease, and all and such clearly drives the whole story, and it could be set in the future, but it isn't futuristic necessarily. It's conventional.
But the technology is a big impact. Or I mean, well, I guess the thing with a virus, though, you could say a virus isn't you may or may not be if it was a nanovirus, let's say, that would definitely be technology. If it's a regular virus, you might say that it's not technology because it's just a normal virus that we have within our.
Okay. But, let me. I know this is going long. Let's say
we're finishing up. We're almost done.
I'll throw out the challenge. If we had a story that was about space travel to the moon using the same space travel technology we have now, essentially the same. No significant differences, but it was set 100 years in the future and is about a moon colony. Meaning so the technology isn't different, and it's set in the future, but it's not futuristic. And let's just assume that it has the speculative nature for whatever reason. Would that be it, or is that really you could set that today, or using the same technology? Does the fact that it's just in the future cover that base?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, okay, so if the story is we're going to the moon, right? So technology is impacting the story, right? So we have
Conventional
that.
technology, yes.
Yeah, we have that impacting the story because they're going to the moon. They got to use technology to get there.
Right.
They don't use a magic wand or anything like that, right?
Right.
Because if they were to wave a magic wand to go there, then I would say no, that's not science fiction. That's fantasy, right? So now
but you could. If what I'm saying is, if you said no, it's super advanced. It's transporter technology.
Well, then it would be science. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now futuristic elements relative to humanity. So yeah, that's a difficult question because I mean, even if you're just using the technology we have today, I mean, we kind of depend on the story. Like, is it, have we gone back in time for some reason? We had a nuclear war and we regressed, or is it technology has stayed where it is? Is there high technology going on in the society, but maybe there's a most of humanity says, hey, everything's good on Earth and we got all this fancy shit. We don't need to go to the moon. But there's some group who are like, no, we want to go to the moon and you won't let us have access to modern technology. So we're going to use this old stuff that we can put together ourselves, in our backyard and fly to the moon ourselves and start our own society, et cetera, et cetera. Then it would, it might fit that aspect, right?
But you just inserted a lot there to try to justify that.
I did.
I'm saying the setup that I gave you, it's really, it would be, if someone didn't put a date on it, it would be almost indiscernible from a conventional story,
JT thought the show was great. I'll hop in Discord after the show. I usually do.
PB wants to ask a friendly question. Yes, by all means.
No. Yes, you can. Anyone can ask any questions. You don't need.
Please let it be. Can we skip jokes forever?
PB, when we're joking about you derailing the show, but don't worry. I mean, I'm not. If I didn't want to answer any of the questions that someone put, I would just ignore the question. So you're not derailing the show. I am derailing the show or allowing it to be derailed. You don't have to worry about it. Not sure if we have the tech or mental state for people to survive, let alone live on Mars or return from Mars. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what's the one, the Apple show where they...
that's a good point. For
All Mankind, yeah, where they go to the, they're behind, but their technology is, man, yeah, would you say that was science fiction, right?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? I've seen the first couple.
Okay. PB, anyway. Coke for me.
Coke or Pepsi? Oh, Coke. Big time. That's the question. Coke.
Quick anecdote. I actually took the Pepsi challenge back in the day when they had that, and I chose Coke.
Yeah, I did too, but I don't remember what I chose because I was a kid. I derail constantly, but learning how you roll. I don't think you do. PB's the worst. He's the worst for that. But
best.
But it lets us answer questions and keep everybody involved. Yeah. Don't please, everybody. Honestly, we want you to ask questions. Otherwise, we just mute everybody, and Cam and I would talk ourselves, and we'd probably get mad and then never speak to each other again afterwards. So that's it. Okay, Cam, that's the show. After party in the chat. I'll be there. Cam's probably going to be too pissed off to be there, but maybe he will be there. I'll be there for sure. I'll go into the after show chat in the Discord and for a little bit.
Let me read this, if I may. Cam and Snobber wrong. Visit the Discord. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the super chat for $2. I appreciate it. We're edging up there. I think this puts us up past the $20 mark. For super chat, something like that.
There's apparently a well-worn trick, and that is that you drink shots for a given amount of money, and since we're a low viewership, it'd have to be like $5 or something.
Yeah, you want me to become Ricada and be
please don't
having orgies with our neighbors and being drunk and doing cocaine next there, whatever the hell he was doing. I don't remember.
Yeah, PB, excellent. That's interesting you brought that up because Snob and I were talking offline about, the future of the Babylon 5 show, and given that it has an endpoint, and then other shows and things. And Jason is a big fan of Space Above and Beyond. That's one of
so am I. It was a
okay.
great show.
So that's a
was
reminder
so-
because
Yeah,
I
there was
forgot
so much
about it.
going on there, and I was like, wow, this is great. And when it ended, I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then I found out they didn't go on anymore. I'm like, what the hell? So there are rumors that they are doing a remake or something for Space Above and Beyond. But rumors flying around. Yeah, that's like $1 million Canadian. Yeah, like $500,000, I think, something like that. Let Ricada fade away. Yeah, he kind of. I mean, he's trying to come back. I feel sorry for the guy, but that was pretty bad. That whole thing. Yeah, so we'll keep watching about Space Above and Beyond. Jason likes it too. Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of it. It's a great science fiction show. Did things that no one else did in there. All right. Okay, so what's coming up next week, Cam? If Cam gets over his anger and he still is with the show, what's coming up next week or next in the future?
I don't know.
Cam,
Planet
you
of
still
the Apes.
there? I don't know. This week we have the on Wednesday we have the Babylon 5 wrap-up show, season 2. We're going to discuss all the stuff. It'd be very similar to the one from the first season, which was, like I said, I think it was our most popular show up to that point. Everyone, people were like, wow, they seem to like it. So we're going to talk about, the second season. We're going to have some people on who have been talking with us, some of our guests as well. We're going to discuss it. And then after that, the week after that is American Thanksgiving. It's a little late, right? But you guys are having that. So we were going to start season 3, but we're going to put it off a week, and we're going to have a call-in show, and people can discuss season 1 and season 2, whatever they want about Babylon 5 the next Wednesday. So this Wednesday, wrap up of season 2. The next Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving, a call-in show. We'll see how that goes. We'll try that out. And this next week, next Sunday on this show, we're going to do movie night. And you, the viewers, have voted to watch Planet of the Apes, the Charlton Heston version, the original one. And I just watched it the other day, myself getting prepared for the thing. And so we're going to discuss it. You've seen Planet of the Apes before?
Yeah, many times.
So we're going to talk about Planet of the Apes, the movie, not the planet. So it should be good. Are you looking forward to that, Cam?
Yeah. You
are? Yeah. Fox canceled Above and Beyond. That's what's there. Yeah. Quick. Yeah, it was a great series. I haven't seen Odyssey 5. Yeah. Okay. All right. Trying to end off. All right. I think that's about everything we've done. Did I miss anything, Cam?
Yeah, your Sterling jokes.
Jokes. Okay. All right. The jokes are extra good today. That means they're extra bad. So I think Cam will hate these jokes. But I win if he doesn't laugh, and he wins if he laughs. So these are all alien related. Alien related. All right. So Cam, who else? Maybe I save that one to the end. That's the best one. What's an alien's favorite song, Cam? Do you know?
No. What's an alien's favorite song?
Rocket Man, of course. I mean, that's Rocket Man. Aliens.
I hate that song.
Rocket Man. Yeah.
Hate it.
Well, maybe that's because you're not an alien. Tell me, Cam, do you know why the alien was cold?
No. Why was the alien cold?
Because it forgot its space heater, right? Cold heater in space, alien. Get it? Yeah? No? Okay, last one. Why was the UFO embarrassed?
Why was the US foe embarrassed?
UFO.
Oh, UFO.
Unidentified flying object, UFO. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Embarrassed because it crashed the party. Crashed Roswell UFOs crash party. Okay, looks like I win. Cam didn't like any of those jokes. All right, well, I hope you appreciate the jokes, Jeff, since that's all primarily for you. And I hope everyone enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week. Or Wednesday for the Babylon 5. Should be good. Nice, good one on Babylon 5. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.